Welcome into the association presented by Caesars Sportsbook here on NBA TV. They say a closeout game is the hardest one to get. Certainly looked that way for the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they get it done against the Lakers. We got full post-game coverage coming up for you here on the association post-game, along with Rudy Gay and Isaiah Thomas. I'm Stan Verrett. We're going to hear from the coaches and the key players. Lots to talk about LeBron James and what's next for him coming up as well. But first, let's get started with a look at the highlights of Game 4.
Oh, yeah, baby.
In L.A., Shai Gilgeous.
Trust the work. It'll all even out.
Shai, appreciate the time. Congrats.
So, again, second consecutive sweep for OKC, so they're going to get some rest before the Western Conference Finals against either Minnesota or San Antonio, who are knotted up at 2 games apiece. But, IT, let's go back to situation. We didn't see it in the highlight, but it was 113 to 110, 12.2 seconds left. What did you think of what the Lakers called coming out of that timeout?
I think it was a solid shot by Reeves, and he's made that before throughout the season. But if I was on the Lakers, I would have went for a quick 2 because I know the defensive team's not trying to foul, and I would have played the free throw line game for at least a possession or 2 more. And they got nothing out of that, which, like I said, that's not even a contested 3. So Reeves is capable of making it, but I would have played the long game in those last 12 seconds.
Rudy, what did you think about the decision to go to Reeves and not LeBron James?
Well, I mean, Reeves has had it going.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is one of those things where we're just betting on ourselves and hoping Reeves he's made big plays. He hit that shot before with the bump and contested 3. You know, I think they were just trying to bet on it. You know, hopefully get the game. If not, you know, whatever, they'll figure it out. But me personally, I think I would have went for the quick 2, and then played the free throw game, kind of like what IT said.
You know, the old saying is that the closeout game is always the hardest one to get. Yeah. Are you somewhat surprised at how competitive the Lakers made this?
No. I mean, obviously you have LeBron James on the team.
Yep.
A guy that, you know, probably one of the smartest players that ever played this game. So, you know, have him and have, you know, and raising the level of the other players on the team. You know, they were undermanned, obviously. You know, and they're playing against OKC. Like, you know, they just got a bad draw. So, you know, I did think it would be competitive. This last game, you know, although they did get swept, I think, you know, a lot of guys stepped up. Jackson Hayes stepped up. Rui Hachimura stepped up. A lot of guys stepped up. They were just undermanned and didn't have enough for this Oklahoma City team.
So, IT, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 18 in Game 1, 22 in Game 2, 23 in Game 3. But when they needed him to close this out, he comes out with 35 tonight. What'd you see from him?
MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, he did what he's done all season long. When they really needed him to make baskets and make timely plays, he did that. And that's the definition of this OKC team, is like A.J. Mitchell had a hell of a game. But when the lights is on and it's time to perform at the end of the night, SGA is always there to answer the call, and he did that tonight. And he's shown why he's one of the best players in the league right now, and possibly, you know, winning his second MVP.
Yep, won it last year. Looks like the favorite to win it again this year. All right, so it ends in a sweep for J.J. Redick and the Lakers. Let's listen into his post-game comments.
JJ, I think I asked you kind of a general question after the Houston series, and you kind of responded with gratitude kind of for the players and the coaches. That even though this comes in a loss, do you have that similar sense of that fight, or is it still kind of too soon and too raw after the loss?
I think when the season ends, there's always, I would say, a whirlwind of emotions. Certainly feeling a sense of gratitude for our players, the Lakers, our fan base. Really like that, you know, you've seen these 3-0 games before, and I thought there were 2 different times during the game where our team could have gave in, could have let go of the rope. We didn't. I thought the crowd was awesome tonight, and I've been part of these on both sides where it's a 3-0 and you're playing on the road or you're playing at home, and the crowd can just not be great. And the crowd was awesome tonight. Our fans are awesome. Yeah, gratitude. Yeah.
You're playing the defending champs, and we spoke to you and your group about championship all year long. What's the gap between your group and a championship group?
That's what we got to figure out this offseason. I will say for the things that we set out to do and build our championship habits and build our championship communication and championship shape, I thought we were darn close to doing that. And it doesn't mean you're going to win a championship, but I take a lot of pride in our players and what they all individually went through, what we collectively went through, and what we turned out to be. You don't know on day one of training camp what you're going to turn out to be, and just proud of who we are.
JJ, you spoke a lot this year about the human element. This team has a lot of people that are going to be free agents next year. Obviously, like the likelihood that this group in total will be intact is low. How did you just think your team navigated all of that this year in total, like the human stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think for everybody involved, that's the part of it that is human, is that there is highs and lows and frustrations and moments of triumph and joy and belief and doubt. It's just you're one game, you're one quarter, you're one play away from supreme confidence or a little bit of doubt creeping in. I think Rory said it one time. He said, when you're playing bad, it can seem so far away, and then when you're playing good, how did I ever think that it was that far away? And I think for our team, like we went through every single thing this year, stayed together, and I think hopefully put a team out that our fans can celebrate, not in the way that we all want to celebrate, certainly.
JJ, what was it about this game and that moment that makes you so emotional, and about playing this game makes people so emotional when you lose a series like this?
I told the team this. This is my 17th year being part of an NBA team, and I've always looked at every team I've been a part of, every team I've been on, as a living organism. And I've maybe talked about this once before. During the course of a season, sometimes that organism is healthy and thriving, and sometimes that organism can get the flu, and sometimes that organism can get really sick. Now, we experience all of that this year. When the season ends, that organism is dead, and that organism will never live again. I mean, you bring up the free agent thing. Sometimes you might have one or two of those guys, and we have half our team. I'm like I'm a little white kid from the sticks in Virginia, and I get to do this. That's why it's emotional, because I care more than. I mean, I hate to say this about my family, but I care as much about this as anything. I love my wife and kids, but it is. That's why. It's just I didn't want our season to end. I wanted to keep this thing going. I enjoyed every bit of this year.
JJ, you've talked about kind of celebrating small wins throughout this season. Obviously, you would like to be celebrating a different win tonight. But when you are processing the season right now, even though it's still so raw, like what are some of the small wins that you think you can celebrate heading into the future for this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a lot of guys that had great individual seasons. I think anytime you can win 50 games, anytime you can be get home court in the first round, I think one of the biggest wins for us, and I talked all the time towards the end of the season and in the playoffs about our resiliency. I think one of the biggest wins for us is the multiple times throughout the regular season and the multiple times towards the end of the regular season with the injuries and during the playoffs where we could have just laid down. Tonight would have been an easy night for us to lay down. And I don't know who the F came up with moral victories. I don't even know what that phrase means. I don't believe in it. But I look at all the small wins along the way as part of the journey. And for each of these guys, it's part of their journey this season. And for each of my coaches, it's part of our journey. For Lakers fans who maybe this is their second year because Luka got traded, this is part of their fandom. And it's just part of it.
JJ, you had mentioned, I think, after you guys lost to Phoenix and Orlando after the All-Star break, that you were still searching for this team's identity. When you look at the way they fought tonight and throughout the series, what do you think that identity ended up being?
I think it ended up being a really hard-playing team, a really together team, and a team with a lot of heart.
Hey, JJ, obviously LeBron is uncertain about his future. Has that part of this hit you yet, that this could be goodbye to him?
I haven't even thought about that, and again, we'll deal with the off season in the off season, which is the next 2 months.
JJ, when you're just thinking about how close or how far you are, how important is continuity?
All right, JJ Redick, after the Lakers get eliminated by the Thunder in 4 games. Guys, I'm looking at this box score, and Oklahoma City shoots 52%, Lakers shoot 51%. Both teams about 36% from 3, free throws pretty much even, but you get to turnovers. Lakers had 19, led to 22 Oklahoma City points. I mean, if you turn the ball over against them, you're going to pay for it, and they did.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I think that's the key to the game right there. Like, you got to try to get a shot at the basket every time down, especially against a team like OKC who favors off scoring off turnovers. And 22 points off turnovers in an elimination game is hard to win those games. So, like, I think that's everything else was even, and that was the factor right there where they had more possessions than the Lakers.
And then A.J. Mitchell, Rudy, I mean, they're missing an all-star in Jalen Williams, and they don't miss a beat because of A.J. Mitchell.
I don't know what's going out there in Oklahoma, but they always have somebody to step up and fill a role. Like Mark Daigneault is doing a great job of promoting players and getting them in the right position. But at the end of the day, you can't turn the ball over against this team. You have to play this team right. They have so many people that can put the ball in the hole. You have, a two-time, well, possibly a 2-time MVP that can, score the ball at, a historical clip. So it's like, you can't give them more chances at the basket. A.J. Mitchell is a guy that's trying to prove himself and has been doing, a heck of a job trying to figure out things, especially at this portion in the season. Like, we're in playoffs, we're in the second round of playoffs, and he's playing this well. But, you can't give them more chances at the basket than they already have.
Mark Daigneault's team so far 8 up, 8 down, halfway to a second straight championship. The Thunder coach at the podium right now. Let's listen to his post-game thoughts.
UConn.